It happened. It finally happened. I found a conversation interesting enough on X, Twitter, whatever the hell, to compel me to make a rant, conversation, opinion style video off the cuff. I just find it interesting, and it kind of relates to something I've talked about in another video, and I just saw people's takes and had opinions and thought, hey, let's throw a video together. It starts with this post from Jez Corden. It says, random thought for no reason at all. What if the next Halo is just that, a campaign and story, and the multiplayer is the Halo Infinite multiplayer, with new season launch, etc., maybe a bigger drop of map and modes? It would be, quote, Halo Infinite is the multiplayer of Halo forever. And there's a few comments, right off the rip that, like, this is exactly how this will play out, in my opinion. The Halo project, by certain affinity, probably being the exception, being additive on the multiplayer side of things. Hiddenexperia jumps in. Fuck it, why not? I'll take anything if it means we get a new campaign at this point. Honestly, same, feel that. And I've said in a video, I think this is a good approach. A good approach for Halo to take. The Halo Infinite multiplayer, as it continues to get updates, has been getting positive feedback. It's done its best to cater to the classic people who love the old, Halo 2, Halo 3 movement, and then people who like the newer stuff that feels a little more modern. I think it's just like it nailed the reboot aspect as perfect as you're gonna get from 343 or a modern developer in a modern Halo game. I mean, I think it ticks all the boxes for everybody. It's a fun, smooth game to play. And I know some of these things can be subjective, but like there's no way a game this big is gonna please everybody. The biggest thing that threw me for a loop reading this thread was Favyn's response. He gives this no, don't do it. And I want to say that anyone's opinions in this are that. They're opinions, they're valid to have them. I can have mine, they can have theirs. It doesn't need to be, I'm not dissing anybody. This isn't that kind of thing where I'm trying to start fights or be rude to anybody. But it's interesting because I really do respect Favyn's opinion on things. I've watched his videos and he makes really good points about where Halo may make missteps. Being someone who's a fan of, the way Halo 3 worked and played and was developed. Especially when you go look through the thread further, because then people responded to him saying, no, he doesn't like this idea. And the top comment that I see anyways is, infinite movement and shooting is peak Halo, I wouldn't mind it. And his response is, feel free to enjoy Infinite ad infinitum. And I think that's the main reasoning he's given for not wanting this. I can't say I 100% disagree, but I also feel like we are well past the idea that a free-to-play multiplayer isn't going to exist. This isn't a bad idea, in the sense that if it were realistic for us to get a game feature complete and receiving post-launch patches and playlist rotations off of an initial $60 purchase like we had in Halo 3, that would be ideal in a world that got froze in 2007. Fortnite exists. Warzone exists. I have a whole video about this concept. The fact that we've been asking video games to do more every year since 2007, as well as then attach a multiplayer that is requested to do more every time a game ships, it has become unsustainable, which is why we're seeing game development become, it's always been difficult to develop a game. But that's why we've been seeing games come out so broken, because we've just been requesting too much of these human developers. I think the best direction multiplayer gaming and gaming in general can go in is when these franchises like Halo and Call of Duty can separate the development of their multiplayer and their single player. Because then we can get the best of each that can possibly exist. Because the multiplayer is going to stay focused on making the best multiplayer possible. And that can be free to play, and it can be monetized through whatever they want. Because if it's cool, people will buy it and people will want to buy it. If it's cool enough, if it's interesting enough. And given the resources to make cool and interesting things, that can exist. And what can also feed that multiplayer loop of cool things is a campaign that introduces cool things. A campaign that is allowed to focus on making a good campaign. If we request that every game try to do what Halo 3 did but bigger every 3, 4, 5 years, that isn't sustainable. We cannot do that. Gaming doesn't work that way anymore. And really, it only did for that little time it did. Halo 3 and Halo Reach came out, and like they did, and even then Halo Reach couldn't quite like live up to all of the, at least the complete charisma that Halo 3 had. Same with, Call of Duty went down that same path. 2007, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, huge hype. Modern Warfare 2, like they could only do it so many times till they fell apart. I really think the best thing for franchises like Halo to do are exactly what people think they're going to do, and I hope they do, is keep Halo Infinite, keep giving it updates, keep giving it cool content, and I advocate they find a healthy balance between stuff that's cool and free in the Battle Pass, or like, free content, and stuff that's really cool and that people would pay for. There is a healthy balance to find there, and that would still allow the game to be free to play. Gets more people in the door. It's less of investment for people to try it when a new campaign comes out. Keep the campaign development separate. Give it more resources, more room to breathe. Everyone will benefit from this approach. And I don't want to knock anybody who doesn't feel this way, but I just think as the years go on and games like, Fortnite, and they just find more success this way, I think doing that, but then also having a compelling story mode for a price that ties into an always updated multiplayer, but that are developed separate so they can both be great, is the most realistic way we get a game that feels like Halo 3, that has it all, but also growing exponentially as years and technology move on. Games like Halo 3 and doing it all in one package, even at the time, were an anomaly. Nowadays, the things we're requesting, the things we as gamers request from video games are getting bigger. And I think the bigger those things get, the less likely they are to come in one package. At least without, having some shortcuts here, there, somewhere. But yeah, no insults anybody here. Everyone can have their opinion. I really think our best shot at something cohesive, and it's funny because separate it to make it cohesive. It's a weird concept, and I understand why people might be abrasive towards it, but I really do think it's the best way we're going to see Halo have the whole package again. Somebody made the comment too, just hit a button and you're in the Halo Infinite multiplayer. And especially with like SSDs and like that could happen fast. It could feel like you're in the same game. Update the free-to-play multiplayer's menu UI to match whatever campaign comes out. It's going to feel like the same game, the same experience, and the same fan base is going to play them. I haven't made a rant video like this before, so I'm moderately uncomfortable with it. Bear with me. And it's an interesting conversation to have about where multiplayer games are going to go. Because there's games like Fortnite that are completely free and only exist off of the paid microtransactions within. There is no larger story mode connecting Fortnite together with something else. Whereas then you have games like Call of Duty that make you pay $70 for the multiplayer that any other franchise nowadays is making free to play, also filling it with microtransactions and battle passes to pay for, while also trying to do the whole package in one, creating a campaign that's an hour long. Call of Duty can't do that forever. So what are they gonna do? They're going to have to make the multiplayer free to play. And if we get a Call of Duty campaign, I would gladly pay for that as a standalone thing if they make it good enough. I don't know where else they would go with this model. Because eventually I think people would, I could be very wrong, would stop paying for the Call of Duty multiplayer every year when it's the same thing, when it's essentially an update to the game they got the year before. Yeah, that's my rant on this Twitter feed. Is interesting. I don't think I'll do these very often. It's an interesting conversation to talk about where gaming is going to go in that regard. And I welcome the conversation, people's opinions. I'm not fighting with anybody. I respect everybody's opinion on these things. I just think that the clear path to having everything just about everybody wants is separating these experiences with Halo Infinite. Halo Infinite is it's in the perfect place to give this a try. It has a very solid multiplayer that is currently free to play, currently getting, on an upswing with updates. And then it's also a game that has very committed fan base to its lore and stories. It's the only game I can think of right now with both of these things. Call of Duty, people like their stories, but there isn't the same sort of investment people have with the Halo stories, which means Halo is the perfect guinea pig for this idea of having a free-to-play multiplayer on one side and a team dedicated to making that as good as it can be, supported by a campaign on the other side that has been given the room to breathe without the need of rebuilding a multiplayer from the ground up, that has cool enough stuff to where you can then put it in the multiplayer to help monetize it. No other franchise is in a position to give this a try. And if done correctly, I think it's how we can find a free-to-play multiplayer model that actually works for everybody. Or at least mostly everybody, because there's always going to be somebody who doesn't like it, all that. With that, I continue rambling the same thing over and over again. So I hope you enjoyed. I'd love to see a debate in the comments of people yelling at me and hating me. If you agree or thought this was fun, drop a like. Let me know, I guess, if I should do more Twitter rants. Oddly enough, people like that. I don't know. But I'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching.